So what is going on, guys? Thank you so much for joining me today in Music Theory for Metal lesson number 3. All right, we're going to be talking about intervals. This is really helping me out because not only does it help me teach you guys, but it certainly keeps it fresh in my mind. And guys, I really just love talking music theory with you guys now that I've spent the time in school learning about it. All right, it can be easily applied for metal, so let's dive right into it. So what is an interval, okay? An interval in layman's terms and basic bare bones theory is the distance from one note to another, all right? And as we know, as we studied in our previous lesson, the key signature, there are 12 steps in one note all the way to its octave, 12 steps above it. Those are both A's, right? A to A, 12 steps. But we also know that the major scale is the god in music theory and in music in general, because everything is derived off of the major scale, right? So if we think of our major scale in the key of A, that's my low string, drop A. It's whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step, A, okay? And then we're right back. And all of those notes, it's A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A. Those notes all have distance names or intervals from the starting note, the low A. And your major intervals go major second, major third, perfect fourth, perfect fifth, major sixth, major seventh, perfect octave. And the perfect octave is the octave one higher than your lowest note. Now guys, there's no such thing as a major fourth or a major fifth. A major fourth and a major fifth is called perfect fourth and fifth. I don't know why, it's just how it is in music, so just roll with it. Just trust me on that. There's no such thing as a perfect or a major fourth or a major fifth. They're just called perfect. I really don't know why. All right, so now that we have our notes identified, our scale identified, now we can start applying intervals, right? You remember in elementary school when you'd sing do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, or whatever key you're in? That was way off key, but you guys remember that? Well, those silly little names can be applied to guitar and to metal and music theory, right? So do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Those are all your major steps, your major intervals, right? And so now what's awesome about the guitar is you can start using your ear and you can start using your interval knowledge to find other intervals on the fretboard. So I'll give you an example. We don't want to be locked down on our lowest string anymore. We want to be able to find intervals using our other strings, all right? We're metal players. Although we only use this string 99% of the time, we can still use these other strings, guys. It's okay, I promise. So let's do a little exercise, okay? Let's say I'm in the key of A, and you can use whatever tuning you want to be in, drop B, C, D, whatever. It all applies the same, right? So let's say I want to find a major sixth in the key of A. Well, we know that A to E is a perfect fifth because of the nature of the drop tuning. It's automatically a power chord because A, B, C sharp, D, and E, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, perfect fifth. Do, sol, that's a perfect fifth. That's that interval, okay? So now we just take that knowledge that we have already and just do a little bit of calculation in our head to find a major sixth. So what is a major sixth in the key of A? Okay, so I go A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, because whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step. So F sharp is a major sixth away from A. I hope that makes sense, guys. I'll put pictures up periodically on this video, but I think it makes sense. You just sometimes if you have to write it out, that's totally fine. It comes naturally after a while after you've just been doing it over and over. But it's not hard, man. It just takes like 5 minutes, and I think you guys will understand it. All right, so we know a major sixth away from A is an F sharp. So how do we find F sharp using other strings? Well, it's easy. If we learned our fretboard like we were supposed to in the last lesson, we know that this is E, and then F sharp is right there. So now we play A. That's a major sixth. Oh, that is that interval. And then you can chug on it, and it sounds broken, which we'll get to in a second. So that is an easy way to find intervals, man. You just learn your key that you want to be in. Learn the do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, and do. They're called solfege intervals. Those are their names. And then all you do is just do a little bit of math and calculate the interval, right? So what happens if you want to go past your 1 octave A? Well, it's easy. Just like with the fretboard, it just keeps going and it repeats, but the notes change and also the numbers change. Once you go past perfect octave, then they start going up and they go 9s, 10s, 11s, 12s, and 13s. But it's all the same idea, guys, all right? So I'll give you a quick example and then we'll move on. So a major ninth in the key of A is this B. It's not this B, it's this B. Because we've already gone past the perfect octave and you just keep going up. So if I want to say, hey, what's a major ninth from this? I go like this. Or it's the same exact note register, note name, you know what I mean? In the same, not the same note name, the same octave. That's what I was looking for, the same octave. All right, so then I'll cover that more in a more in-depth video, but that's the basics of intervals, okay? So now I'm going to show you one more example and how it can be applied for metal, all right? So not only is it good for having, to be able to have chords, like we know this is, that's a power chord because it's root fifth and then fifth root, right? So A, E, E, A, perfect fifth, and then E to A is a perfect fourth. But that's a power chord. We'll get more into that in a second. But how to use intervals and for like lead stuff, and what I personally like to do when I'm writing for Luna Muerta is I like to use it to create what's called dissonance. And dissonance for metal, guys, is what we're going for. We want it to sound mean and broken and evil. Think of like Black Sabbath, the song by Black Sabbath, that it's called a tritone, and that is a diminished fifth or an augmented fourth. Diminished means flat, augmented means raised. So it's just 1/2 step above a perfect fourth or 1/2 step below a perfect fifth, and it creates this like weird broken kind of sound. But for this example, guys, I'm going to use what's called a major seventh. Now major seventh is 1/2 step away from your tonic, from your key, from your where you want to go, home basically. So I'll give you an example. I call this the eyeless riff, the eyeless by Slipknot riff. So here's an E, and here's an E. It's the same exact note, right? It's the same exact octave. It's the same, literally, the same note. Might be slightly out of tune with my Floyd Rose, but it's damn close, all right? So all you have to do to create dissonance is take this E on the 17th fret, and move it down 1/2 step, and watch this. Ready? All of a sudden. It sounds broken. It sounds evil, right? That's good. That's a major seventh. The major seventh is known for creating, it's called like frustration or creating dissonance or tension. It's known for having that sound because it wants to go here. So major sevenths are a very dissonant interval, and they're known for creating dissonance, and that's good for applying for metal because let's say I want to create a song real quick. And I'll pretend like there's 2 guitar players playing, but I'm playing this. All right, that was a bad example, but think of like chugging along and then you're throwing in some dissonance and some major seventh intervals. That's a great way to create dissonance and create nasty, spooky sounds, as I call it, in metal. So real quick, one last thing I want to talk about with intervals is the minor intervals. Now, I told you the do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, and do intervals. Those are all your major intervals. Well, there's also gaps in between all those on your fretboard. And what are they called? It's pretty easy. It's common sense. They're just your minor intervals. So A to A sharp, that's a minor second because a major second is B. If you just flatten that second, that major second, it's a minor second, all right? So now let's think what's a major third in the key of A, B, C sharp. Now I just have to find a C right there. that's a minor third interval, and it goes up and up and up. So basically, when you have a major interval, if you just flatten it, you'll create a minor interval. I hope that makes sense. One last one, I'll give you an example. It's called the tritone, the Black Sabbath tonality of this interval, and that is because that is do to sol, perfect fifth. You flatten that fifth. Sounds pretty mean, right? I'll give you one more example of a tritone, all right? Of a diminished fifth augmented fourth. So we use B, all right? Drop B, or just, you know, regular old B. That's my favorite tuning, and it's the second fret on drop A. So in the key of B, a perfect fifth is an F sharp. That's like what drop B sounds like. Sounds like Slipknot, right? So now all I have to do is just flatten that fifth. And all of a sudden I've created a tritone. And all of a sudden I'm just playing metal, like just like that, right? So metal and intervals work hand in hand because metal is kind of like the opposite of like what traditional music's supposed to sound like, and that is using dissonance and frustrating the what's supposed to go and what's supposed to sound right in music is the perfect way to use intervals for metal. So if I want to create a heavy ass riff and not use a power chord anymore, I can use a tritone or a minor sixth, and I'm creating metal. I'm creating metal intervals. Metal intervals are just things that sound evil. All right, so that's my interval lesson, guys. If you have any questions, leave it all down below in the comments, and I'll be certainly to answer them in a future video. One question I did see in the last video is when we're talking about names on the fretboard, when I'm going up, it's sharp, and when I'm going down, it's flat. That is not the case. I've seen that. I've seen people say that like in school and stuff, but that's not really the case when you're in a key. Like if I'm in A, and then all of a sudden I want to like go down, and I want to have a flat or a sharp note. Let's say that I want to play an E or a D sharp. A, B, C sharp, D. If I want to play a D sharp or an E flat, the enharmonic sound, more likely than not, I would write D sharp. And this has to do a lot with like writing music and stuff. If I'm in the key of A, I've already established the key. If I can have the same note as E flat and or D sharp, I'm just gonna write D sharp in my writing or what I'm talking about, because I'm in the key of A. There is no E flat in the key of A. It's D sharp. So to answer that question, if I go down, it's flat, up, it's sharp. Not really. In layman's terms, like if I'm not talking about a key, like if I just want to like talk about just, I'm not in any key right now. I'm not in any key. I'm just asking hypothetically. This is E, then yes, this is E flat. But it's also D sharp. So it's like really finicky and like weird. If you're talking about going down the fretboard when you're like trying to think of like a song in a key, then you wouldn't call it flat. You would just keep it with the key signature. But if you're just talking about like just a note in general, when we're just like, hey, what's this? If this is E, what's that? E flat, or it's D sharp. So it's like there's real no right answer, but there are like a couple instances where it's the wrong answer. I hope that makes sense. It's rather confusing, and I'm doing my very best to help you guys out. So let me know down below in the comments. If I've confused you, if I've lost any of you guys, let me know, and I'll certainly try to break it down in another video. But if everything's good with you guys, the next video we're going to be doing is chords and advanced chords for metal style, so we're not just stuck playing. So we're not just stuck playing power chords, all right? We'll have a little bit of flavor added to our chords, okay? I hope you guys dug this video. If you found it informational, please like and share it. It would help me out so much, and your feedback is always welcome. If you guys need any help with anything, please leave it down below in the comments of this video. I'd sincerely appreciate it. All right, boys, I'm out of here. Stay metal. I'll see you guys next time.